Well, as I was under here figuring out this socket for the wishbone, I noticed something. And it's honestly making me feel a little sick. Major setback. All right, well, if you would focus, here's our result after, like I said, about 20 hours of electrolysis and some scrubbing with the wire brush. And it's certainly improved. So I think now what we're going to do is we will put this in our little catch pan and we're going to soak it down with some blaster and let it soak for the 3 days that I'm going to be out of town. And then when we come back, we'll abuse it a little bit, see if we can break this free.
Several days later.
We've got our reverse lockout freed up, but this actuator rod is, it's going to be a challenge. And it's lacy, but it is intact. And I think if we want to have a prayer of getting this loose without breaking it, maybe this is a job for muriatic acid. Just see if we can chew out what's left of that rust that's between the rod and the groove that's machined in here, which basically has it rust jacked in place.
I already have some water in the can, and we're cutting this about 50-50.
All right, well, it's been a few hours. We got all kinds of reaction going on here, and I don't want to leave it in there too long. This stuff works quickly, so let's pull this out and see what we got. There we go, guys. Look at that. This was frozen solid before, and that's fallen right off. Nice and loose. So there's your proof in the pudding for efficacy. All right, so we've got this all rinsed off with the hose and then subsequently completely soaked in PB Blaster to prevent flash rust. And I just want to get you guys in here to see this, if it would focus. I don't know if I can get in this close with this camera. There we go. There is now a physical gap between the reverse lockout rod and each wall of the groove that it sits in. So the proof is in the pudding right there. This was about 3 hours in probably about 50% cut muriatic acid. So that's 30% hydrochloric acid. So say 15% hydrochloric acid. The Works toilet bowl cleaner is 12.5% hydrochloric acid, if memory serves me right. So pretty close to the same concentration, a little bit more aggressive than that. But again, this is just a time game. The stuff works. 36 hours of electrolysis, and we couldn't get results this good. So sometimes you got to pull out the big guns and de-rust some stuff. Well, sometimes you just have to admit defeat. And that's okay. So now that this is severed, we can get in there with a hammer and a punch, and I can break the other end off, pull this reverse lockout. Would this thing focus? Japers, there we go. Pull this reverse lockout off, and then we can use the punch on the opposite side as well. And we can get this stump out of there. It is rust jacked into place underneath this shift ball, and that's the problem. So we'll get this all out of here, and then we'll probably go to the local tractor supply store, get a new piece of whatever size this is, 1/8 inch rod, and we'll just make up a new one. And we'll keep forging forward. Never declare total defeat. This is just a bump in the road. Got the reverse lockout actuator rod fabricated, and it's working pretty well. So I'll give you a quick little demo of that. There it is, pretty basic. So that's pretty slick. We're happy with that. Then the shifter retainer portion, which is basically this pivot and this pivot cup and this pivot cup, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, this thing. The retainer portion that's supposed to go above the spring, which was utterly rotted to non-existent, is pretty roached. But we just need it to work. So I took a spring and I actually stretched the top of it out so the top of it's a little bit larger diameter in hopes that it will stay under this roached cup, which will then be held in place by this cup. So we'll see how it works out. You know, like I said, we're not going to be driving this cross country. We're not going to be rowing gears with it like crazy. It's probably going to spend most of its time in first gear. It just needs to work. So we'll get this shifter stem put back together again and start stabbing it into the transmission and seeing where we're at. All right, well, we have a transmission. First gear, second gear. It's loose, it's worn, but it works. And that's all we need for this doodlebug. So that's a big step in the right direction. So I think we'll get the yoke put on this thing now and start putting the drive line back together. Once we get the yoke on, then we're going to have to set this up for the rear end. Now this is a torque tube rear end, so the drive line is what's going to set the pinion angle and it can't move. So what we're going to have to do is get that situated, and then we're going to have to repair these radius arms here. And then I think what we will do is we will blow a couple of holes in this I-beam or girder, if you will, that whoever the depression person was that built this thing originally, and we'll put a couple of U-bolts in there to really firmly hold that rear end in place.
Few moments later.
All right, so we got the yoke on the transmission, and this is our drive shaft and our coupling for the input on the worm gear for the rear end. And we've discovered that we do not have enough distance between the yoke and that coupling to slide the drive shaft onto the coupling and get it bolted to that flange. So what we're going to have to do is loosen up these straps that are currently holding the rear end in place, get the floor jack under the rear, and scoot the rear back a little bit. That way we can install the drive shaft, put the torque tube on, and get things mocked up so that we can then set the rear end position, set the pinion angle, and get everything bolted in place. All right, so now that we got the torque tube and drive shaft on, we have a line of sight for where we need to be to set the rear end for centering and pinion angle and et cetera, et cetera. Now that we've got that in place, we need to straighten out these horrendously bent radius arms. And I am responsible for that. Dragging this thing out of the weeds where it was, we won't talk about how many decades ago that was, plus moving it here, they got bent. Sometimes things happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that masonry bar right there back in through this chain that we've got. We're going to prop that up, and we're going to twist the pinion down and hopefully get this bent up till it's about in the right spot. Once we get everything in the right spot, then we can properly fix the radius arms on each side, and we'll start getting the holes blown into these pieces of I-beam down here so that we can slap some U-bolts in and get this thing put together. Well, before we can mount this wishbone permanently, got a little bit of a problem here that I probably should have taken care of before I mounted this thing in here, but it's secure now, so that'll help. Got a bent stud here, but before we can straighten that stud out, we gotta find the nuts that I took off decades ago to protect the threads. So let's go consult our VHS case and see if we can locate them. We'll all be dipped. That looks like the other one. And we've even got the lock washers. Man, teenage me was on top of things. Before we can put this together, the retainer and sleeve is set up to have springs on it, which of course rotted out eons ago. So we're going to consult the hoard bin again and see if there's anything here that might work. These ones look like they have potential. They're a little bit smaller wire diameter than what was on their factory, and they're obviously a little bit longer, but since they're a smaller wire diameter, I'm hoping that they will compress enough that these ones will do the job. It's a doodle bug. Doesn't have to be perfect. We just need it to work. Well, as I was under here figuring out this socket for the wishbone, I noticed something. And it's honestly making me feel a little sick. Do you see it? Of course it's not going to focus because that's what it does when I'm trying to show you guys something.
I mean, the block's got a crack in it the size of the San Andreas.
Yeah. I don't have the foggiest idea how I didn't see this before. And it's at the very bottom of the sump, so probably ice jacking from when this transmission was full of water. And the only thing I can figure is that there was crud caked on here and probably crud caked on the inside too. And after I hosed it all out with brake cleaner, now it can be seen. It held fluid, but this is not cool. This is a major setback. I'm feeling a little ill about it, so we're gonna have to take pause for tonight. I think this is a good point to quit for tonight, and gonna have to decide how we're gonna deal with this. All right, I'll see you guys on the next day.
You sure about that?